Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, Jon Howard, what is the biggest risk?
I think the biggest risk from my perspective, and I'll take, I guess, my client's perspective on this, is making sure that if you're a science-based tenant or even a owner, like you own a building and you want to attract science-based tenants, making sure that the whatever facility they're going into um, can meet the needs of those types of tenants. I think we've seen, luckily not too often in my own personal experience, but we have seen in the industry, a building being built for maybe a single tenant, even if it was a lab tenant, um, being built for a tenant or a tenant type that doesn't have the kind of the metrics that a uh, uh, science-based tenant will be looking for. Making sure that the structural base spacing is adequate or is on an 11-foot module. That's kind of the rule of thumb, so that you can have all your benches laid out efficiently and have enough space to walk around, and not run into a column. Making sure you've got enough floor to floor height. So typically, what we try to look for with a prospective tenant is making sure that the building can accommodate a 15-foot floor to floor height, so that they can accommodate all the ventilation systems and everything that go into a lab space. Or sometimes, if it's not that high, designing enough floor mechanical space in the floor area to kind of make up that kind of lack of ceiling area that you would be missing. So I think, just from my own perspective, especially with investors that are or real estate developers that are looking into getting into the sciences, I think the biggest risk is landing that tenant and then the tenant not being able to get into the building, or having some serious issues with the building, that they weren't cognizant of. So what we do here at HED is often we'll work with landlords or tenants to help them assess in a building uh, asset and make sure that it can accommodate whatever tenants they're looking for, or if it doesn't, recommend some upgrades that might be needed to attract those tenants, or in the tenant's perspective, create a list of things that need to change before you can sign a lease, or what have you. So because if you're locked in and the building doesn't work, then that can be a major issue, especially for science tenants that have, an ROI that they have to adhere to, and develop a product to market at a certain time frame.